CBS Sports HQ presented by Geico on this Thursday. Well, the playoffs begin. It's Saturday, right, Tommy? They officially begin Saturday?
Yes.
Yes.
The weekend.
Right? The first round of the playoffs. We have 2 more games of the play-in tournament. But after that, just about 2 months, just a little bit over it. If you want to do the math, you can figure out the exact days. We have the NBA draft. Kyle Boone has put together his latest mock draft. You can find it on CBSSports.com. We got Tim Doyle's going to join us because he doesn't love everything Kyle has done. He likes a lot of it. He doesn't love all of it. Kyle, we'll start with you. I know it's hard to please Tim Doyle. We all know that. Let's go with the Pistons. They have not had a winning record since the 2015-2016 season. They did hit 500 once. So try to help the Pistons yet again in the draft, Kyle. Who do you got them taking?
Yeah, this is tough. I have to try and please Pistons fans and Timmy Doyle. We're going to go with Zaccharie Risacher at number 1. He's from France. He's 6'8". He's a power wing who can play with and without the basketball. Very athletic and has produced at a really high level, both on the FIBA circuit and in a professional league overseas. Obviously, last year we had a French prospect go number 1 overall, some guy named Victor Wembanyama, who is pretty good. I think has acquitted himself quite nicely, and I think that has actually helped maybe the perception of Risacher as you project him into the NBA. A little bit of a mystery prospect, can shoot the ball at a really high level, just turned 19 years old. So I think there's a lot of growth that he can still do, and the flashes that he's shown overseas. I'm pretty excited about him. I think right now if there was a draft, whoever's picking at number 1, I think he would be the number 1 pick right now.
Yeah, I mean, I love how catch and shoot. He has that ability. He makes shots. He's shooting over 40%. He's playing also against men. You see his numbers there in the Euro Cup, 56% from 3. That is the game now. You know, the way the NBA is played, they actually made double the amount of threes this season than the entire 1980s. So you got to be able to make shots. If Kyle Boone fixes the Pistons, okay, I will give him my salary. If he makes this 1 draft pick and they fix the Pistons, that's going to be amazing. Amanda, you know I have a close tie to the Pistons. My father, Dan Doyle, 4 total games for the Pistons, okay? And his stats while he was there were 30, 30, 30. If they were up by 30 or down by 30, he got in for like 30 seconds.
Were those your stats in college?
Oh, you're so mean. You're so mean.
Look, I'm sure Rip Hamilton would be pleased about this. He has UConn right now, which is very nice, and his Pistons, he absolutely hates talking about them during the regular season. Tried to avoid it at all costs. Let's go to Donovan Clingan and Kyle during the Final Four and during the tournament. You said, look, this could be a guy who could go number 1 overall, likely a top 5 pick, and here you have him going to the Trailblazers at 5. Why in this position?
Yeah, I think that's in part, Amanda, because this draft is a little bit weak at the top. There's no clear number 1. There's no clear number 2. I think the top 5 is pretty much up for grabs. But Clingan did great in the NCAA tournament. He was a defensive stopper for a 37-win UConn team that just went back-to-back in winning national championships. You dig into the numbers. Statistically, the production doesn't necessarily pop, but his efficiency was off the charts. You look at his player efficiency rating this past season, behind only Zach Edey, who won back-to-back Player of the Year awards at Purdue. He was 2nd in box plus minus behind Zach Edey, 6th in block percentage among all college basketball players. You know, he's 7'2". I think he could be an anchor for your defense. Some growth here that still needs to be done on the offensive side, but I really like his game and how it projects to the NBA level.
Kyle is so nice, isn't he? Like, from the great state of Oklahoma. I know that he went to post-grad at Oklahoma State, so he claims Oklahoma State as his college. I'll be nicer, okay? This draft is awful. This draft is terrible. So he just said they don't even know who's going to be one of the top 5 picks. Like normally, right? You know who number 1, probably number 2. Then after 3, 4, and 5, it gets like a little interesting. Kyle just said you don't even know who the top 5 picks are going to be because you're drafting so much on potential. Now, when I look at Clingan, 2 years in college, 2 national championships, and he is legit 7'2". Like, men lie about their height, how women lie about their, well, not going to get into that, okay? But he had the most dominant performance in the entire tournament, offensive and defensive, when he played against Illinois. He had 22 points and 10 rebounds. He blocked 5 shots. He had 3 steals. I think he has an incredible high basketball IQ. Now, he got worked in the national championship by Edey, scored 37 points, but Clingan's not going to be really good for like 3 or 4 years. You could say that about almost every other draft prospect here. So somebody is going to emerge, Amanda, and be pretty good from this draft. But man, you're really drafting massively on potential.
So where would you have him right now, Tim?
I might take him at 1 because he's a winner. Like, you bring someone in culture-wise, because I think UConn is going to become, over the next 4 to 5 years, the modern-day Villanova. Right? All the Villanova guys are winners. They're great culture guys. Look at the Knicks. They basically brought in a whole Villanova team, and it's translated to a number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. So I would actually seriously consider, depending on my needs, taking Clingan 1.
I think, Kyle, it is harder to please Tim Doyle than it is Pistons fans. I think we have now figured that out. 2 teams we saw go head-to-head last night, the Heat and the 76ers. The 76ers with that massive comeback win. Kyle, who do you like for each of these teams where they're sitting right now?
Yeah, we're going to give them 2 Duke Blue Devils. First with Kyle Filipowski, another 7-footer. Someone who came back as a sophomore this past season for the Blue Devils. He improved as a shooter. He improved as a passer. He can play both inside and out. He's a really kind of well-rounded big man. I think could be kind of a plug-and-play team for a playoff team that I think can make a real run. And then we're going to go with Jared McCain going with the next pick here. And McCain, I think, was an elite shooter this past season. True freshman at Duke. Really emerged late in the season as kind of their go-to scorer. Had 2 30-plus point outings in the NCAA tournament. He's an incredible movement shooter, racked up a bunch of accolades. So I think his game projects perfectly to the NBA, the way that you can shoot it from a number of different ways. Both of those Blue Devils, I think, will end up going somewhere in the top 20 in this draft.
And I think both are going to be valuable NBA players. Now, there's a big difference between starting in the NBA and playing in the NBA, okay? Like, when you start in the NBA, you're probably like 6'9", you have like 7'4" wingspan. Like, you've basically been hit by a wand, the basketball god's wand. So Filipowski he's 7 foot tall. And when I see him, guys, I just see Frank Kaminsky, 8-year pro, made $22 million. Actually married Ashley Brewer. Fantastic job by him. Like, he's living his best life. He's actually still playing overseas. And he was a, role player in the NBA. He's going to have a very successful life. He's a great guy. That's exactly what I see Filipowski. I don't see him averaging like 18 points a game or being an NBA All-Star. As far as McCain, I get like Hawkins vibes from UConn last year, and he kind of bounced around from the NBA to the G League. But when you shoot it at over 40% from 3, I love as a freshman, he almost shot 90% from the free throw line. And this is what the NBA is now. You put him with a Zion, you put him with a Wembanyama, you got to stay close to him because he can make shots. So I think both guys are going to have productive NBA careers.
Let's go to the Knicks. I feel like Knicks fans are just happy to be here right now. They've made the postseason for the 3rd time in the past decade. So congratulations, Knicks fans. Enjoy it while it lasts. And as much as Tim said that he did not like this mock draft, Kyle, I got a little note from our producer that he loves this pick. You have the Knicks taking Ryan Dunn out of Virginia, 21st overall.
Yeah, and Ryan Dunn, I think, is going to be a really interesting prospect to evaluate over the next few months. He was the only player in college basketball this season among major conference players to average at least 2 blocks and to average at least 1 steal per game. He's an elite defensive prospect, 6'8", can defend every position on the floor, kind of some shades of Herbert Jones, who's made a strong impact in the NBA out of Alabama. Needs to improve his shot on offense. I think the confidence that he plays with on that side of the floor can certainly use some improvement. But defensively, I think he's the best defensive player in this draft. You could get him late in the 1st round. I think that'd be a ton of value here for the Knicks.
Yeah, I absolutely love Ryan Dunn at the next level. He is a prototypical player that's going to be a better pro than he is college player. How good could he be? Herb Jones is going to get paid. Herb Jones' shot has improved. I called his games, Herb's, when he was at Alabama. Actually, Chris Hassel and I called the game where they almost won 3-on-5. That's right. They played the entire second half with only 3 players, Herb Jones, Colin Sexton. Ryan Dunn, here's my concern. He actually shot better from the field than he did from the free throw line over the last 2 seasons. 55% from the field this year, only 53% from the free throw line. But you see the arms, see the length. He can defend. He blocks almost 3 shots a game. All right, Amanda, I'm just going to be honest. His dad, Ed Dunn, is one of my best friends. And Ryan Dunn went to the same high school as myself, barely got any playing time at Lehigh as a junior. The same high school that I started at when I was in 8th grade. Why? Because I was a prodigy. It was LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and myself. Now, where did it all go downhill? I'm working with yourself and Kyle. I'm sitting in my mom's basement. I can't really pinpoint that day, okay? But as far as Ryan Dunn, the upside through the roof.
Do we think it would be like a day where it all went downhill, or is it like a span of years?
I think it's a years that it all slowed.
Kyle's up there making the little thing down. All right, Tim, you like that one. Tim does not like this next one. You talk about Ryan Dunn, better player in the pros potentially than he was in college here. We could very well see the opposite with this guy. And yes, we are in fact talking about Zach Edey. Does find his way into the first round, going to the Pelicans at 22. Kyle, when teams are looking at Zach Edey, and we've talked about how he's a controversial guy going into this draft, how are they going to evaluate him in the first round?
Yeah, I think if we're going to use Tim Doyle's parlance here, this draft class stinks. Why not take Zach Edey in the first round? He's 7'4", he's 300 pounds. He just won back-to-back National Player of the Year awards at Purdue. He led college basketball in points per game last season. He scored 37 points in the NCAA tournament title game against Donovan Clingan, who Tim Doyle actually thinks could go #1 in this draft. So I think there's some areas of his game that he will need to improve. I think he'll need to improve as a shooter, need to improve his range as a shooter as well. Defensively, he'll need to show that he can defend in space. But he's been dominant for 2 consecutive years as one of the best players in college basketball, really over the last decade. So in this draft in particular, that is seen kind of as a weak draft, I think it's reasonable to take a gamble on Zach Edey, someone who's been so good the last few years, and hope that you can plug him in as a backup center, someone who can be a back end of the bench rotation piece for your NBA team.
I am going to owe so many people money, including Kyle Boone, who I'm not really sure if we have a bottle of tequila or $20. I knew it was
milk,
like one of those.
He drinks milk at like 11:55 p.m.
So that
was not
amazing.
planned.
That is amazing. Because I don't think he's going to be a first-round pick. And I wouldn't want to be the GM that selects a guy that clearly is going to have some issues defending at the next level. This is a completely different ball game. So the GM that takes him is going to have a lot of JU ice, meaning like he's made a lot of great moves throughout the draft. So if he makes one that goes sideways, it's like, yeah, but he's made like so many good ones, like Sam Presti or someone of that nature, because this is like a huge, huge gamble. Great college player. If I was Zach Edey's advisors, you know where I'd be right now, Amanda? In the portal. I would go, who wants to pay this man? Oh, you want the 2-time defending National Player of the Year? $7 million? $10 million? And then I would walk it back to Purdue and be like, hey, you guys want to match this? I know there's like laws and Canadians can't NIL, whatever it is. He's got bad lawyers. He should be in the portal right now being like, who wants to pay this guy? Hello, I've won National Player of the Year 2 years in a row. Somebody would pay him, because when you bring him in, he changes your program. Don't know why he's turning pro, not rooting against the kid, rooting for the kid. And I do think he'll be playing the NBA. I don't think he's going to be a first-round pick. And honestly, I think he's making a massive mistake.
We have 2 months to argue about this, so we have to go back to the milk because the control room has a lot of questions about this right now, Kyle. If anybody's worried about the milk industry, I mean, you're going with like some dairy milk here. What are you drinking over there?
No, it's just some regular 2% to start your day off just right. Get your bones strong. And keep yourself nice and strong.
I feel like now we need like the flexing competition like we had between Bill Murray and Drew Brees at the Final Four. I want to ask you guys to do it right now. Maybe later on, Tim, I don't know if you're ready for that. Oh gosh, here we go. Hey, let's go to the Utah Jazz. How about that? Kyle, I'll start with you because I don't know what Tim's doing and I don't know if we want to see it on camera here. You got the Jazz taking Kyler Colette coming off an injury, but did perform well in the tournament at 27.
Yeah, he's coming off an oblique injury late in the season, and really I think was playing like one of the best players in college basketball. Down the stretch of the season, I thought he was making a real run at Zach Edey for Player of the Year. He led college basketball in assists per game, was very efficient for a Marquette offense that throughout the season was ranked top 15 in efficiency metrics. He plays with kind of an edge and a swagger that I really like and I think is infectious, and Marquette's offense was all the better for it. I think he can be a plug-and-play backup point guard in the NBA. What is Tim Doyle doing?
I don't know. Our producer said like there's a lot out, so I was getting these papers ready to cover my face.
I thought we were doing the gun show here, okay? First of all, Tyler Kolek, if I have a child and it ends up like Tyler Kolek, I'll be so happy. I love his boy's regular haircut, first of all. In the last 2 years, he's averaged 8 assists and shot 40% from 3. You know what kind of vibes he gives me? Little Jalen Brunson vibes, where it's not going to be probably year 1 or year 2, but like year 4 or 5 in the NBA, he's going to be a really effective player. When you know how to play and you can make other guys better, a la Therese Halliburton, there's a spot for you. So, yeah, I really wonder how tall he is because he says he's 6'3". If he's 6'1", that's a big difference. If he's 6'3.5", that's a huge difference. Like size really, 3-4 inches in basketball is like enormous. So really curious to see if he measures like 5'11.5" with no shoes on. I lie about my height, 6'4.5", no shoes. With shoes, orthotics, 2 pairs of socks. I'm actually 6'6". So yeah, Kyle, don't go flexing on me, okay, bud? There's more where this came from throughout this draft process. I'm ready for you.
I think Kyle may have won. I'm not sure. Maybe it's the angle. You know what? We're just going to call it a draw. Oh, my gosh. Here we are. This is exactly when these shows go off the rails.
I'm bringing him over to the dark side. I'm bringing him over to the dark side.
You are taking a guy drinking 2% milk on a Thursday afternoon over to the dark side. Stay in Oklahoma, Kyle. Tim, I don't know if your mic is still on. Odds to win to select Bronny James, since you've been very, very outspoken during this segment. Do you see Bronny James going to the NBA draft? You got 10 seconds.
Yes, Lakers plus 400. Why not? Keep LeBron happy.
Thanks, guys.